and welcome to episode 21 of Illuminating Rounds. Martin, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm fine, thank you. I just realised I've got to brush my hair this morning.
you just spent the time looking for it, I would have thought.
Yes, good job we upped the budget for makeup. I think I'm looking good other than that. Yeah.
I mean, there's a story behind there, I'm guessing. A lockdown story. Was there a... I understand it wasn't quite deliberate. Was that the aim when you set out to do that?
Oh right, yeah. No, sorry, smell the hair. Yeah, absolutely. No. So we have a problem between metric and imperial measurements. So I had a 5, but this 5, which should have been 5/8 of an inch, is 5 millimeters. And
Right.
5 millimeters is it's more like 1.5/8 of an inch. So, there we go.
Well, I like the commitment to the ASL metric system of 5/8 of an inch for
Absolutely.
your hair. We all know how. we can all picture exactly the length that you were looking for
You know
there.
what? That's funny, isn't it? That's exactly right. Yeah.
So anyway, how you been? You okay?
Yeah. No. Very well. Yeah. How about you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. We did have a brief meeting. We were allowed to meet in the park, weren't we? So
Yes.
we met briefly in the park. We didn't roll any dice, but we did manage to upgrade your microphone. I gave you a T-shirt, an Illuminating Round T-shirt, which you didn't put on.
Which, you know what? I was going to put it on. I've got it here. Do you want me to change?
It's absolutely fine. Next time. Next time.
Okay.
All right. So what are we going to do today? What are we going to talk about?
So much we've got to talk about. So, are we going to do a list, or are we just going to pick them one by one?
Just we know what we're doing. So we've got a top 5, which
Absolutely.
is going to be
Yeah. Which is
shall I-
basically our top 5 scenarios for seaborne assaults.
That's right, exactly. We have a game to talk to you all about that we played against Toby that we'll explain.
Yeah.
In a new segment that we're going to call "Taking the Dog for a Walk," because it's a theme where Toby is taking the dog of a scenario, the wrong side of the scenario, and is going to try to beat us like he did last week. He didn't last time when we played him in 20 years later. Although not saying that was a dog of a scenario, but it certainly was tough. It certainly was tough, wasn't it? So this week we are going to play him at To the Matterborn, a scenario that has never been won by the Canadian player. And we'll find out today whether that duck has been broken, as it were.
Yeah.
We had a good time doing that, didn't we? That was
Absolutely.
it's good game. We've got to say thank you to some new Patreons. So, guys, thank you again for sticking by us and contributing. So, Aaron Sun, Simon Staniforth, Dwayne Duval, Andy Bagley, Tom Rapetti, and I think we mentioned last time, but Todd Reed as well from our live play. Thank you very much, guys, for doing that. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
We got so much good feedback about our live play, not necessarily our ability, but our our entertainment value, shall we say? But we're going to do it again, and we're going to go for another game this coming Tuesday, 9th of June, and we're going to play a Seaborne Assault.
Absolutely.
Martin, you want to talk about that? I don't know if you want to. Do you know much about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've played a couple of seaborne assault scenarios, and I quite enjoy seaborne assault scenarios. I also enjoy parachute landing and things like that. All these sort of insertion scenarios I quite enjoy. I wanted to sort of. I mean, obviously, seaborne assaults are at the sort of top end of sort of one of the last things that people learn to do when they're playing ASL. Perhaps I think you said are you really a true ASLer if you haven't done a seaborne assault? The rules are a little bit challenging in places. There is some help out there. So View from the Trenches, which is available free online, the sort of British ASL magazine. View from the Trenches 21 has an article called "Hit the Beaches Running," and that's very, very good on how you fire at landing craft, which is effortlessly the most complicated part of the seaborne assault rules. Most of the rest of it actually is quite straightforward, but the way you hit and damage assault landing craft is quite difficult. That's all there, and there's a flow chart, which I've got to say I didn't really understand, but there's a flow chart there, which for an averagely intelligent ASL player, I'm sure would help a lot.
And that's the View from the Trenches
21. Now I've sent all that to you, so you can have that in the notes.
So it'll be at the bottom of the video down there now. It's got a list of things. So we'll talk about the scenario. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, no, there's a few more. Is that
Oh
okay
yeah.
if I
No,
run
no,
through
please
those?
do. Yeah.
Yeah. There's View from the Trenches 39 as well, which has one called A Weekend at the Beach, which just goes through all of the rules for beaches and landing craft. And there's also the official Journal 9, Getting Your Feet Wet, which actually goes through crossing streams and all water obstacles, but eventually gets to landing craft as well. And that's a really really good article. I'd say the one from View from the Trenches 39, A Weekend at the Beach, and Getting Your Feet Wet are kind of interchangeable. They cover the same sort of ground, but they're both very good
Right.
at running through the rules. Yeah.
Right. Excellent. So I'm looking forward to. So we're going to play a scenario that we'll mention in our top fives, which are top five seaborne assault scenarios. So
Yeah.
that's what we're going to talk about. Um, I am nervous about this game, especially given that
Yeah.
we're going to play it live. So we're gonna do some studying up beforehand, and if you want to come and see a seaborne assault and how it's played, well, I mean, you might not learn too much, but at least you'll see it played, and we'll have done it. We'll certainly get our feet wet by the end of it.
Yeah.
And given I think how much we enjoyed the last game, please do, if you get a chance to come along and join in. We've tweaked some settings on our streaming, so we hope that will be a little bit smoother. We'll keep improving it, I think, as we try to go on. But again, come along, have some fun. We'll try and get you guys involved if we can. If you can't make it, no problems at all. A couple of days later, that YouTube eventually processes the video and they put it up for us, and it ends up in our playlist anyway. So you will be able to see it, and you can skip through to the fun parts as well. So
Yes.
that's that.
Yeah.
Last live game, we did a poll on who was going to win. So that poll finished 11 apiece between you and I. Obviously, I had the balance, so there's perhaps a little bit of a swing there. And so we are going to do a draw for, as promised, the people who predicted that I would win.
Yeah.
Now, there was
11
actually, go on.
traitors, turncoats.
Sensible. They just knew. They knew what was going on. So well done to Jim and to Jeff and to Toxteth and to David Garman and Todd and Indy. Well done, Indy. We do like that. Benjamin, Lester, ML, Chris Anthony, and Michael. You got the right end of the scenario there. Tom Rapetti. I'm not sure I can count your vote, as it came in 2 days after the game finished and was broadcast. So maybe you voted in good faith. I don't know, but we have to disallow that voting on technical grounds. So Martin, you're going to roll a random dice for us. You're going to share your screen. You're going to jump onto.
I'm going to share my screen now.
Yep,
See if it's working.
It is not working.
It is not working, is it? It just says display one.
Okay, maybe hit the share button.
Oh yeah, share screen.
All right, and now flick over to. Yep, there we go. All right. Okay. Yep, go for it and generate that random number.
So we got minimum 1 and maximum 11. So that list links to the names that you just called out in that sequence. We have got a number 9.
Number 9, excellent. Okay, so ML, well done. You have won your choice of either. Okay, you can come back, Martin. Come back to us. So you have won the choice of either the Italian OOB or the utility counters from Broken Ground, or you can have the Japanese OOB. So let us know what you would like. We'll be in touch, and they will be on their way to you. So well done. Actually, so ML is not that far away from us. So
okay. Am I still sharing?
You are back. You're back exactly where you should be.
Okay,
so,
brilliant.
Well done. Good job. Right. Okay, let's talk about our top 5 scenarios.
Yes.
Top 5 seaborne assault. Now, I have to put a disclaimer. Obviously, I haven't played a seaborne assault scenario, so I can't really fairly judge this other than what I've seen people talk about, what looks like a great thing. So I'm going to start. Now, before I start, I think, and we didn't pick this one specifically because it wasn't a scenario, but the campaign game inside Iwo Jima, the Utmost Savagery is just looks absolutely incredible from a size and scale perspective. It's probably the pinnacle of a seaborne assault situation for ASL players, but we didn't count it, so it gets a nominal mention, as if you really want to strive for what is possibly the biggest seaborne assault.
I think we felt we couldn't name it because we know nothing really about it. We've not played it at all, have we? And But yes, certainly,
It certainly gets
very highly praised.
exactly that. Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to talk first of all, and it's the one that I think a lot of people start off with, and so it's Mike Red. Mike Red is the I don't want to say guards counterattack. It's probably more like a retaking Vierville kind of scenario, but for seaborne assaults. It's the kind of the one that is the most simple. The map which I'll put up is nice and straightforward. It's just sea, beach, and pretty much a field. I mean that's
Yeah.
And you've got a seawall there, haven't you? Heavily favours the Germans, which is the defenders. So it's a tough start for anyone that again wants to get their feet wet. So I would be wary in terms of don't play it competitively unless you are really well versed in the rules.
No, in fact, I played it. I do think it's a really good one to play to get used to the game. It's very, very difficult on the attacking Canadians. I don't know if simple is the right word. I mean, the situation is very simple.
Yeah.
You've got duplex drive tanks. You have got tetrahedrons and wire. I mean, they've got everything's in it. But on a very small scale. It's a relatively small count. And I think for that reason, it's a really good introductory scenario,
right.
Without being necessarily a desperately interesting one.
Right, and sometimes I wonder with these kind of scenarios where the person who is learning the rules is struggling the most, with the most rules to learn. I don't necessarily know right now whether that's the defender or the attacker, because you mentioned like the hitting of the LVTs are the hardest part sometimes of learning the rules.
I think that is the hardest part of the rules, for sea assaults,
So potentially it's tricky for the attacker to know necessarily what to do other than just charge towards the beach and.
Yeah, I mean, so I think if you're the defender, not necessarily in that scenario, but in any scenario, it is actually quite a complex calculation whether you're better off firing anti-tank or high explosive at landing craft. I think mostly it's better firing high explosive, but understanding the mechanics of which is best in which situation, I think, is actually quite complex. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So that was my number 5, Mike Red. So it's a good scenario for people to certainly cut their teeth on. And there we go. So number 4, Martin.
So my one is very, very similar to that, but it looks a much, much more interesting scenario. Now, I haven't actually played this one, but the people that have, and they've written about it, have said this was a really, really good scenario to play as our first seaborne assault. And it is When I Call Roll, which is AP 101. So it's a much, much more recent scenario than Mike Red as well. So it has some of the benefits of Mike Red, of being a really good one to kind of like cut your teeth on. But it sounds like a better scenario as well.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah.
All right. So I think
no tanks in that one.
No tanks. Yeah. Okay. My number 3 then, Bloody Red Beach. So Bloody Red Beach looks really, really good. 10 turns, Japanese American. We've got all sorts of stuff going on. So there's caves. Map looks amazing. You've got OBA coming down. You've got about 25 so landing crafts coming on the beach. Just looks absolutely. It's a pretty map as well. And you've got a nice set of victory conditions where the Americans have got to try and capture a couple of hills, but they can do it at any point during the game, or they can go towards the end with a larger kind of capture of one set. Looks really interesting, and I think once we've got the a good grip on what's going on, the one thing that puts me off Bloody Red Beach is it is big, because you've got there's 30 or so defending Japanese units trying to hold off roughly the same number of attackers across like 3 board widths board widths. Now the Scenario Archive, to be fair, says it won't take you more than a day to play. But it does put it at 23.9 hours. Now, wow. I don't know how accurate that is, obviously, but I can certainly think that's a day's entertainment. So
it's a very good day, isn't it? So
it's a happy day though. We're gonna
very much so. Yeah.
If you and I were locked down together, we'd have been chewing our way through that by now.
Yeah.
But
your partner was keen on that arrangement, was she?
I'd have been all right. I think Nicole wasn't so keen. I think us playing ASL for 30 hours,
6 months or something.
We'd be We'd be all right. But anyway, okay. Your number 2.
So my number 2 is one that I have played, Vargzo Adventure. The Vargzo Adventure is from one of the generals. It is G27. It's about 9 turns long. It's obviously set in Norway very early in the war, and the Germans. It's actually the actual battle I think took place at night, but they just have a sort of a +1 hindrance to sort of shots, or like a sort of a heavy mist or something like that. The British arrive in like sort of waves, and I remember playing it because I was the British commandos. It's a kind of a raid, and I remember landing and really struggling with the Germans easily sort of being able to sort of like kind of like contain me. But as like further waves arrived, the kind of momentum built up, so to push forward. I don't think we quite finished it. We were playing Vassal. It was a long time ago. Okay. The British have to capture lots of stone buildings, which I think represent a fish factory or a fish oil factory or something. You know, something that was
worth
absolutely critical to the war effort at the time. And they can blow them up, or they can control them at the end. Right. This wouldn't be a bad learning scenario. Actually, it's actually simpler in many respects than the others, because they've got one gun that can fire at the landing craft. No, that's not true. There are other things they can fire at the landing craft. I remember it felt easier than the more traditional beach landing ones. It's a very small beach. It's only one hex. I remember enjoying it. I'd certainly recommend it to somebody. Right. And it doesn't get a lot of playing. Partly, perhaps, because it's in a general.
Yes, that's true. Yeah, a lot of good scenarios have just gone by the wayside. I think often they get reprinted, don't they? Eventually, they end up in potentially an MP product.
And they are available. I mean, relatively freely available, aren't they? I think PDF copies of generals.
I don't know what you're talking about, Martin.
No.
There's some walls have ears and everything. But yes, I'm sure those that know where to look can find general old episodes of old issues of the general.
But buy them.
Yes,
but they're not. They hasn't. Of course, it's not been reprinted, has it? So.
Speak to Avalon Hill if you can get hold of them and find out. All right. So number 1, and a little bit perhaps unfairly, but maybe to whet the appetite of our.
We cheated a little bit, didn't we?
Our upcoming stream. We are going to play, and so this is why we're putting it as a number 1, because it's the one that people recommended. So hey, why not put this as number 1? White Beach number 1. That's our. That's our
Blood and Jungle, from Blood and Jungle.
Yeah, it looks interesting. So it looks like a nice size. I hope that we can get it done in one session. In about 5 hours is what we're going to aim for. So again, we're going to try and play fairly quickly. It's got a nice little beach, hasn't it? It's got sort of 4 hexes of beach. It's got one of the hardest maps I've had to put together for Vassal. My goodness, and annoyingly, I put all the overlays out, and then I filled in all the ocean hexes with a little 1 hex ocean overlays for Vassal, and then forgot to save the setup. So I've got to do all that again, which is going to drive me bonkers. But nice and manageable in terms of there's only, I don't know, I think it's 6-7 Japanese squads defending with a couple of caves, but the caves are effectively pillboxes at this point, defending against 12 or so LVTs that are coming on. So I don't know, Martin, if you had a chance to have a look at that one yet.
Not in detail. I mean, I've got it in front of me now. It's a very, very narrow landing area, isn't it? Only sort of three beach hexes. I don't know if the Americans can land.
I think it was 4, but I mean, it's something. It's
4. It is 4. I can see it. I don't know if those landing. Well, they're amphibious vehicles, aren't they? I don't know if they can land on like hinterland hexes.
I think there's a SSR that stops that. I think there's a SSR that says no crossing it. So
it certainly looks interesting.
Yeah. So it's a nice, interesting one. It looks like a seaborne sort as well. That's the other thing. I think it's quite a pretty looking map that's been created.
I quite like the fact that it's got caves inland, so it looks like it's not just a scenario about landing on the beaches and perhaps capturing a pillbox. There, they're going to be, there's 2 sort of clear phases perhaps to the scenario.
That's right. So I'm going to take the Japanese, and you're going to take the attacking Americans. So we'll do the same thing again. We'll put a poll up. We'll have a prize for
who's going to win.
I might vote for you.
So I have an honourable mention for a scenario, if that's okay.
Yeah.
A moment. So this is from the War Oboe Monster Scenario Pack.
Right.
This was published a very, very long time, and it is a monster scenario pack, not because there is a monstrous number of scenarios, but because the scenarios are monstrously huge. And this game is Gold Beach from there, and it has been played twice, apparently, that we know of. And one of them was organised by our good friend Scofie, David Scofie, quite a few years ago. In fact, there's a write-up about it in one of the View from the Trenches that I mentioned earlier. 16 players, 8 on each side, play Gold Beach, 88 landing craft, 80 duplex drive tanks, 24 aircraft, 8 200mm naval OBA.
Wow.
And they played it, sat, with the Allied players all in one side and the Germans exactly opposite, and they played it in the D-Day Museum in Portsmouth.
Wow.
The museum loved it. They were crazy about it. They were
really?
giving free snacks and everything. It was a really good event, apparently.
That's fantastic.
Germans won.
Oh, really? Okay, all right. It's okay. That's yeah.
So I think we're not going to be playing this on live feed or anything like that, but I thought it was an honourable mention.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's absolutely worth. That's where you've got your legs wet for certain. And I think I love the idea of playing like a simultaneous kind of scenario where you are able to look across either side and see how people are getting on and all that kind of stuff. But it does.
What I don't know is whether you can fire off your sort of board, if you like, onto adjacent boards. I don't know whether it's like that or whether it's almost like you're playing 8 separate scenarios.
I assume either you coordinate the turns very well, or you have to just keep to your kind of channel, as it were.
That's right. And with so many players, it'd be a nightmare, wouldn't it? You can only go as fast as the slowest player on the day. But I don't know. It'd be interesting to have a look at that one day.
Absolutely, yeah. Sounds really good. Excellent. Okay, well done, Martin. Thanks for that. You've been playing a little bit of ASL in the last week or so. Do you want to tell us what you've been up to?
Yeah. So the main thing that I've been doing is playing the Purple Heart Draw campaign game with Martin Mayers, and that's been a lot of fun. We just finished the second campaign game date, and it's really obvious I'm not going to win it. But we had a chat about it, and we're going on because it's fun. It is enjoyable. I mean, I'm on the one side. I don't know where North is exactly, but on the one side, I'm breaking out. So I'm kind of knocking him around a bit, and on the other side, where there's a bridge that goes over the draw. Actually, sorry, the sort of the creek thing. Not the sorry. He's holding me there completely. And it was a bit disheartening. I didn't feel like I had amazing luck the last time I played, and I need luck against Martin. Martin's a very good player, much better than I am. And it was one of those things where I kind of felt like I'd done all the work, kind of got him out of a position, was pushing ahead, and was going to make a little bit of progress. And of course, he rolls a 1 on the first opportunity with the to end the campaign game day. Didn't even get to move into the buildings he'd vacated. The some key positions I kind of fought to get to. Next thing would have been to move into. If it ended there, it wouldn't have been too bad. But having to sort of set up further back than I reached felt tough. I think there are times when the campaign game rules do feel very tough.
So the other thing you did, you played a 3-player scenario. You finished off.
We finished that off. Have I not mentioned that? No,
I don't think you.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I think we have talked about this because we played the first half and we finished it off. So this is me, Derek, and Gordon playing. I wasn't ready to talk about this. I forgot what it's called now. Narrow Passage, and this is from Festung Budapest. It's Festung FB14. And I'm playing the Germans, and I felt I was doing a pretty good job actually of defending my buildings, and it's got a very, very kind of interesting end game because there's a sequence of different ways that you can win, and by one of those methods, by controlling victory condition buildings, I was going to win because I hadn't lost any and I'd had enough points to win. But there are other ways to win, and I wasn't able to stop Gordon from his sneaky trickery.
He was attacking his own troops or something. Was this?
Yeah, right? That's right. So it's a very unusual scenario in that there's obviously the Russians and there are Germans are two of the factions. There are two other factions. There's the Hungarians that are allied with the Germans, and there are the Hungarians allied with the Russians. But the player that plays the Hungarians plays both of those. So it's an interesting position, because I can fire at some of Gordon's troops, the ones that are allied with the Russians, but I'm not allowed to fire at the ones that I'm allied with. They're allowed to fire at each other. Yes, it's and it creates some quite strange sort of situations. But
so he ended up jumping into close combat with his own guys.
With his own guys, yeah, and that's right. And by that method, getting CVP that he needed to win by that route. Yeah. And I think the trick is, if you know the scenario, you kind of better at kind of working these things out. What you need to do as the German anyway, and as the Russian, is to prevent him from doing that. Right. I can fire at the ones that are allied with the Russians, and I can stop them running over and jumping into close combat with their own countrymen, and so can the Russians. But if we don't act sort of a little bit together, we can't. So it's very, very, very fun. It was chaotic. It was a good, if you like, a nice big chaotic scenario with lots of things happening. This was it. Yeah.
Well, okay. So talking of not necessarily chaotic scenarios, but certainly lots of things happening. Yeah. We took a look at To the Matterborn again. So Toby picks us up on a great example of what can be done. Talking to Toby, before we jump into our game, what I'm going to do now is play you his advice around the pacing of scenarios and when you should be prep firing and when not. So yeah. So okay. So here we go. Here comes Toby.
Hello, Toby Pilling here again. The question I'm covering today regards prep fire again. If you recall, one of my main tips to improve play is to prep fire less. But the question was, in what circumstances is it okay to prep fire? And generally there's a simple rule of thumb here that I use, at least anyway, and that is to count the number of hexes between your advanced forces and the objective, what you need to do to win the scenario. Now basically, if those number of hexes are equal to the number of turns left in the scenario, you can effectively advance your way to victory. In those circumstances, you can normally afford an extra prep. If they're if the number of hexes are twice the number of turns left, then you can assault move and advance your way to victory, which means you can probably afford at least one prep. And if the number of hexes left to go are more than twice the number of turns you have left, then you really, really, really need to get moving, basically, and force yourself to move. So that's a basic rule of thumb that I tend to use if I'm pondering prepping more than I'd like. Okay?
So I thought that was really interesting, Martin. I don't know about you. I learned something, and I think that's something to bear in mind anyway.
Yes, certainly. It's something I've heard about. It's something I forget to do, and occasionally get caught out by not having enough time to achieve something that really, just simple mathematics. I could have worked it out.
And if you want to practice that, fighting withdrawal is probably the best scenario to think about. That pacing, isn't it? Because that is the scenario that really teaches you, the value of movement versus prep fire. I think.
I agree with that. Yeah.
All right. Okay. So let's talk about our game with Toby. So we're going to flick over to our new little interface here. I've been working with Vassal hard to try to get this kind of view for us all. So as you can see, we are the Germans against Toby. So we're gonna have a look at this setup that we devised. So Martin, should we talk about this setup?
Yeah.
We are defending, just so people know, we are defending this. We have to start on this hill here, and we are defending against the left-hand side. So the Canadians will be entering in kangaroos, all as passengers from the top right of this board here down to hex W10.
Yeah.
The stream overlay has gone, which we actually mentioned when we played on the real boards. Having the stream there actually makes this scenario feel even harder, because even though it's not there,
Yeah.
you do feel like it's
Mentally, it feels like there's an obstacle. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. We get some reinforcements coming on turn 3. This is a 7-turn scenario, and interestingly, so don't ignore the fact that it's number 8 there. So interestingly, the Germans get the last turn, which is a key aspect of this scenario, I think. So the plan is that the Canadians are going to come on from this edge and this slight kind of inlet here of the board, and they're going to push onto. They need to capture 4 hexes of this top hill here. These level 3 hill hexes here, but they also can't have any good order multi-man counters to the right of hex row U. So this hex row here. So for those that remember the scenario that Martin and I played, this scenario again is literally unwinnable by the Canadians, as War in the Scenario Archive currently has it.
I think that was our starting point for the defence, isn't it? It doesn't really matter because Toby can't win.
That's exactly what we could have done anything and we were good. So what do we do, Martin? Let's talk through our setup.
So we were thinking these kangaroos, the infantry has to come in the kangaroos, and in a way they're quite vulnerable because of Panzerfaust. This is 1945, isn't it? So we've got plenty of Panzerfaust. Even a half squad has got a Panzerfaust on a 3.
Yep.
If it can get a hit, and of course they're small, everything on board it potentially going up in flames. I think that's what we were. Yeah. That was our first thought. So at least the threat of Panzerfausts to as much of the board edge as we can force him to land on. Yeah, exactly.
So we used our leaders as effectively dummy counters because they've got Panzerfaust, so why not? We have to obviously be on the hill hexes here. We were expecting, I think, Toby to kind of push hard in where this kind of British control counter is down near the W row. Our estimations had him kind of on turn 3 at the kind of the foot of the second level hill, didn't we? We thought that's where we'd kind of get to. And like you say, I think we were fairly confident. So before we go any further, let's play Toby's view on how far we're going to get on this one with our setup views.
Well, I think this is going to be a very hard scenario, but I'm willing to give it a go. I mean, the good thing about playing scenarios that seem to be one-sided, if you're the attacker, is you can take more risks. In fact, you usually have to take more risks early on, and we'll see if that pays off for me. I mean, this scenario, you have to divide your force right at the start of the game and allocate forces to go for the level 4 hill, which I'm doing. I think I'm sending 4.5 squads that way. All the other squads will mop up the German forces on board, and I'll have one squad in a kangaroo between the two groups, able to reinforce one or the other. That's the plan. I like David Martin's setup. I like the way they've used the leaders basically as dummy counters, who can, of course, fire Panzerfaust as well. I expect many players would stack the leaders with squads or half squads, but I think the sensible thing to do is to use the 2 weaker leaders on their own to keep the British guessing, which is what they've done. So it should be good fun. We'll see how it goes.
Okay, so this is what the Toby did to start with, and it certainly surprised us, didn't it? With the
we didn't expect him to come in through woods at all.
That's right. So I assumed that, for example, on the right hand side, that was completely just an area that he wouldn't consider.
Yes.
So I'm not sure if we thought we were going to lose at this point, but we certainly were shocked.
I think it started to occur to me. Yeah.
Now he wasn't playing fair by not just coming down the road and hitting all our good squads with good shots with the Panzerfaust. So
what's quite clever actually is that of course he doesn't. There's a very low risk of bogging actually, even in those buildings. And even if he does bog, it's not the end of the world, is it? He just gets the infantry out and the vehicle wanders off. Yeah.
Exactly. So let's watch Toby's opening moves with the kangaroos.
Yes.
So obviously they're all buttoned up. We don't see what's inside them through the cloaking counters. So on he comes, and immediately we're faced with our half squad decision.
Yeah.
Now, these are moving. These are small targets. It's not as easy to hit as they look.
No.
So I think it's something like fives.
I think
Fives.
yeah.
Fives to hit. So we go for Panzerfaust and we don't get the Panzerfaust. We had to do the bog roll as well. So you'll see some rolls that we make.
Yes.
Because this is mud. So
Yeah.
that's probably worth noticing as well.
Yeah. That was not the Panzerfaust attempt, was it?
That's right. Yeah, that was the mud and the bog. Now, worth pointing out again that Toby is not playing on Skype. Toby's playing on a real board via. So we're playing on Skype, but not on Vassal. So
yes.
He won't see any of his rolls. But we're pretty certain that he wasn't lying about any of his rolls, given how bad some of them were at times.
Yeah.
So immediately we go with the first fire for the Panzerfaust here. You'll see that we have a Panzerfaust. We miss, and then that's it. Obviously, the half squad only gets one.
Yeah.
Only gets one attempt, and straight away, I'm worried now because we have this kangaroo behind us.
Yeah.
We have pretty much no other shots. We had the potential shot from this squad up in X6 in the building with the leader.
Yeah.
But the back blast is always a concern there.
Well, it would be a 3 to hit taking the black blast.
Yes, exactly.
So
exactly. Yeah. So at this point, Toby's now jumping out, and now you can see that the other kangaroos are starting to run.
And I didn't expect him to go in that direction. I expected him to sort of use the road.
Yep. You'll see here he just luckily missed out on a bog as well. He would have bogged in the next hex he'd have gone into if it was open ground, but he managed to avoid that on the last chance. So in he flies, and suddenly it's looking really tough. This scenario that was unwinnable for the Canadians
now feels unwinnable with the boot on the other foot. Yeah,
exactly. It was really quite difficult, wasn't it? So
skillful here is that everything's being placed to put our units under encirclement.
Exactly. So on he comes with using all of their movement points with these kangaroos here, and so very low chance of bogging. He didn't bog in any of the tanks, and I think even if he had bogged,
it wouldn't matter.
Yeah, all he'd done would unload these guys anyway. So the theory is that this is not these are the guys that are going to capture the hill. These are the guys that are going to kind of clear up the area.
Yeah.
So we were a little bit nervous, weren't we? Everywhere now is starting to get encircled straight away, which was a little bit of a shock for us, I think.
I think so.
So we had some routes and we jumped away. We had some.
It's not even too much to say that we're kind of collapsing on that sort of mini summit at the bottom of the board there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We try a bit of we're having a chat here about whether we should be running away at this point or whether we should be prep firing our Panzerfaust.
Yeah.
So we go for some Panzerfaust, and of course you can see when we miss one and there's nothing, there's no complaints. It's a 50-50 chance really with these half squads. We are already now looking like we're in a bit of trouble.
Yeah.
So we go with the Panzerfaust here, and we get the Panzerfaust shot here. We fail.
Yeah.
And we start to think, okay, well, how do we recover this situation?
Yeah.
Now, Martin, I don't know at this point if you thought how much trouble we were in, but
yeah, I think I thought we were in trouble, but I'm still hoping that the other half of the board will work out. The struggle to hang on to the 4 hexes. There is those 2 elements, aren't there, to the Canadian victory.
And the Canadians got to win both, haven't they? That's the kind of critical thing here.
Yeah.
So the Germans can, in theory. And I mean, one argument could be made that we could have just abandoned this hill completely and just made a run for it to come back. And to be fair, I don't even think we considered it, did we, at the time, mainly because we felt that everything would get interdicted by these kangaroos here. But
Yeah.
in hindsight,
We could have.
potentially,
Yeah.
one more squad back in
Yeah.
U3 for a dash back.
Yeah.
But then you just encourage all of the kangaroos to push forward.
And the thing is, because the 9-2 is going to be very important on the hill on the right hand side, isn't it? On the west hand side of the board.
In hindsight, yes, we
But
can
if
say.
but if we chase, ran off to try and make the other hill more difficult for the Canadians, then it releases units like that, doesn't it?
Exactly.
So I think there's it's not straightforward.
Yeah, exactly. So our 6+1 leader comes along. You'll see that we are responding sometimes to Toby's firing. So you won't see. And what we're doing here is we're trying to draw some fire against from this tank to stop this encircling shots coming in from all over here. So this is our kind of plan. We're starting to get broken here, and our positions is absolutely collapsing already through the 9-2s firing into us, and you'll start to see that then we break this half squad as well.
But we have the heat of battle.
We do have a heat of battle, not just now. This was an interesting thing. So we get a hero jump out here, and this hero is going to do good jobs, isn't he?
He certainly is.
As you said, it's a free unit. Don't worry too much about what we can. We're not going to lose very much by doing a lot. So on to the turn 2 for the Canadians, and I'm just going to do that to say it's the Canadian turn. So we can push forward and see. Oh, we've got a route first, haven't we? It's a few routes.
Yes.
So that was Toby's just buttoning up. So then what happens now? We get some prep fire shots coming back in again from the kangaroos.
Again, encircling everything, or keeping everything encircled.
Yeah. And we're in a little bit of trouble now. The hero jumps down.
Yeah.
Manages to break the guys jumping out of the kangaroo here,
which was great. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's broken a squad and a half's worth of guys. Again, no point in firing at this kangaroo. That now it's under recall as by SSR. They have to leave the board. Suddenly, Toby is attacking with concealed squads already on this hill.
Yeah.
That we didn't know anything about really. And we should point out that the scenario starts to rain as well, which I naively thought would have pretty much no effect on the scenario. And it turns out to have a really big effect.
Very big impact, yeah.
Everything now takes, it's harder work going up and down hills.
Yes.
Which is critical for our attack back of this hill here.
It slows Toby down as well, I suppose, at this point, doesn't it? But,
We get our first kangaroo kill here with the Panzerfaust in this X here. We've still got our decent stack ready as well. And so now Toby gets quite bold.
Yeah.
And comes adjacent here. So here's our big decision. We know that we're in trouble here. This stack is going to get horribly encircled at some point. So we have this discussion about do we go for a Panzerfaust and if so, are we going to take the back blast? And I convinced you because it was effectively it's fours without the back blast and sixes with the back blast.
Yeah.
So we go for a Panzerfaust shot here, don't we?
Yes.
We get the Panzerfaust. We kill the Panzerfaust. We kill the kangaroo with the 6 to hit. So it would have missed had we stayed inside the building.
Correct.
Also had jumped out of the building.
I think we get a morale check, don't we?
We do, and then we start to roll pretty badly on this morale check. So suddenly all of us are broken in here.
Yeah.
Now we've destroyed
We've destroyed
kangaroo.
2 tanks, both laden with infantry.
Yep.
Which felt quite good.
Yep.
And we've broken the infantry from another kangaroo, which felt quite good.
Yes, exactly. Now,
but the position is collapsing. Yeah,
it is. Toby started to make noises of despair, didn't he? Kind of. He wasn't enjoying himself at this point.
No.
And I think if we take that away from the scenario, we're we'd be happy, wouldn't we? Just with that, really.
Yeah. Yeah.
As you roll in lots of double sixes
Yeah.
for other bits and pieces, and you can see that now Toby's stacks are looking a little bit vulnerable here to this hero. We've got this hero who is going to run riot really around the back here, and we're going to get some value out of him. We try an illegal route there that Toby is having none of, and so we then think about the British routes. And we've got now, it's our turn two.
Yeah.
So, as we jump through, we're talking about the hero. So this is our crazy hero move. In order to try to draw the fire of this 9-2, we really try to avoid breaking this quite vulnerable looking 4-6-7 in Y8. So we think about trying to do that, and we draw a little bit of fire from this guy. We pass the morale checks, and up we come to adjacent. We're going to go for a Panzerfaust in the advanced fire phase, and the idea is, I think if we get that lucky shot off against that kangaroo, we can take out the 9-2 and another one else. Because I think that wins the game for us.
I think so. Yeah.
Unfortunately, we don't get the Panzerfaust with the.
Which was only on a 1, wasn't it? So
it was, yeah. We are not finished yet with that hero, because obviously we've got this stack of guys in Z10 that we can look to DM, because we jump into close combat. So again, he's not looking great, but now he's DM'd this here again. If we get lucky, we're feeling quite confident. Again, not terrible odds. Now, we had a bit of a rules query, didn't we, about whether the 9-2 could apply his leadership in the ambush, and we end up thinking he could. So that was.
That's right.
That's what we were doing.
Because he's a passenger, we weren't sure, were we?
That's right. Yeah. We don't manage to kill the kangaroo in close combat, but we do. So it's now the British turn 3, isn't it? So at this point, we are feeling like we're a bit vulnerable, and depending on how far these guys can really push up the hill. Toby is, as always, clever enough player. He's going to fire at us in melee. Well, he can't fire, can he? Because I think the bow machine gun maybe fires no effects, and then the passengers jump out, which is absolutely legal. They jump out into the melee
because they're in close combat. Well, they're not in melee, are they, initially, until their boots hit the floor.
That's right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And there was even some debate about whether he could potentially even jump out of or fire in the advancing fire phase, but we figured out that they actually jumped into melee.
They jump into melee, yeah, which makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. And you can see that the other tanks are starting to leave, and so we've got the kangaroos. But this area here is looking really quite bad. We're kind of struggling in the centre there. Meanwhile, Toby is exerting dominance on the hill, and we start talking about our turn 3.
Yeah, how are we going to bring on our reinforcements to reach the hill?
That's right. So
we did a good job of calculating what he had up there, I think, didn't we? We knew he had the mortar, we knew he had the medium machine gun, we knew he had the 8-1 leader, and I think we even calculated the number of squads.
Yeah.
Reasonably accurately.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yes, and that was useful, but I don't know if we knew how to deal with them.
Yes, that's right.
This is the problem.
The muddy hill, haven't you? To see any harm. Yeah.
Exactly. So there was a kind of thought.
Debate.
We did ever think about potentially just running back to this U row again, in theory, rather than just trying to take this hill. We thought about trying to do the thing, but rightly, I think you were saying, well, our troops are better quality. These 5.4.8s are generally better quality than the 4.57s that are on the hill, and we think there was about, what is it, three and a half squads worth of squads up here.
Yes.
With a medium machine gun and a mortar up here and a leader.
Yeah.
So we talked for quite a long time. We did a lot of maths trying to get up the hill.
Toby needed a break, didn't he? He had to go off and do something.
Yeah, exactly.
We would
We
go
were
on
having a good
embarrassingly long for
Yeah.
something we're showing the world. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So we decided at the end that we're
Yeah,
going to push
uphill.
along the top here and try to come around into the L hexes.
Mm.
Now, in our defence, we couldn't really tell this was a cliff, and
No.
a little bit of our planning
And our
was that.
viewers will see that is not clear on this vessel.
Yes.
Isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So on we
So we had a
come.
good plan.
Yes, we
The
did.
wrong board. Yeah.
It's also worth noting that these boards are different to the real boards. So there's some woods in this V10 hex,
Yeah.
which aren't on the hard covered boards. So again, worth noting.
And actually, we haven't really talked about just how impactful mud combined with rain is.
That's right.
Because all open ground hexes, it's an extra half a movement factor to cross the hex side, but it's also, or is it? No, it's +1 to move into the hex.
It was plus. I think it was +1 to go up hills and a +1/2 to cross.
That's from the rain, isn't it? The +1 is from the rain. That's up or downhill.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so you've got that combination of open ground being difficult and up and down hills being difficult.
That's right.
And yeah, it's kind of quite difficult working out what's the best way to go, because you don't get it's a little bit easier moving through, a bit more normal moving through forests, but woods are slow to move through anyway. Although it's relatively straightforward maths, it challenged.
we both got quite confused about just how many points it was to get up this hill into H2, for example.
Yeah.
You know, it's 1.5, 3, and then we were like, what is it? 4, 4.5, 3.5.
Didn't we sort of get to the point where we just kept moving it
until Toby
told us we weren't allowed to move anymore?
Until Toby told us to stop moving. Yeah, I felt an eye roll every now and again from him, but he was very patient with us. It was a little bit hard work. We could have done with the rain stopping at this point. I think it would have been fairer on us. So as you can see, we're doing a bit of maths here. We're trying to work out bits and pieces. So let's see.
Let's see if we can get to a move.
Yeah. Okay. So here we go. Yeah. Here's our start.
That must be the weather, and the few rallies obviously fail.
We didn't get many back, did we? This poor conscript up here. He just was miserable all the way through this game. So yeah, let's have a look. A little bit of prep fire. Again, we were a bit perplexed about how do we deal with this this kind of massing of squads here. I mean, we have this absolute, our biggest stag are disrupted and they're broken. And again, I'm going to point out this is unwinnable by the Canadians. Well,
yes. Yeah.
Now, I started thinking
it feels unwinnable for us. Yeah,
it does. I was thinking, you know what? This is actually a great scenario. But if this was the first time we'd ever played this, we would be saying it was a bit tough on the Germans, isn't it? It's a bit, it was, which just goes to show,
insane, isn't it? Yeah.
How good a player Toby is. Toby is a great player.
Yeah.
But also, it's very easy for people to just write a scenario off because you think this is just unbalanced. It's unwinnable.
Yeah.
And I think Toby acknowledged that it was a tough scenario for the Canadians. I don't think anybody would say it's, it's reasonable. But Toby made it look relatively straightforward at this point. I think it was feeling tough.
Yeah.
Of course, we've got to win only one side, so we don't mind losing this by a fair amount of points.
So here come the boys.
Here they come. We've managed not to get shot at in the open there. We've managed to figure out the rain and the hills and the mud. Again, you're jumping over the maths and the mental gymnastics that we had to do that.
Yeah.
Let's not underestimate that. I noticed that it was taking us a lot quicker to move, by the way. So we'll go quickly through final fire and see what happens there. There's a lot of prisoners taken, as you can see.
I was quite happy for him to take prisoners, to be honest.
Right.
I mean, rather than sort of murder them.
Because a lucky sniper for us might might break stuff, bits and pieces.
Well, that's true, and it takes kind of takes a half squad out of the game, and and it means, I guess, but of course we don't get the opportunity to sort of do the more sneaky routes, do we? After no quarter's been declared.
That's right. Okay, so moving on then to the start of the British turn 4.
Yeah.
We grab some concealment, and here we go with British turn 4. So at this point, Martin, what are we thinking about? What are we thinking?
Well, I think we're trying to decide where to stand and die on the right, to delay it as long as possible, weren't we? And on the left, we're thinking we are still better troops up there. We can perhaps clear the hilltop.
Yep, that's right. I think we're a hex behind, aren't we? I think because of the rain.
Yeah.
Which is tricky. I think if we could have got, for example, up to the L1 area.
That would have been very helpful, I think, for us. Yeah.
Okay. So a few rally actions, bits and pieces.
Yeah.
Toby starts to push forward to this elf.
Oh, incidentally, our hero died in the close combat phase.
You're right. Yes, he did. But before fixing out a lot of his problems, I mean, he kind of held them up a turn, and Toby was certainly talking about having the game. That this hero was kind of swinging the game, wasn't it? At that time.
Right. Yeah.
All right. So we start to track the fact that the British now are really capturing these level 4 hills.
Yeah.
They're.
And of course, now it's much more difficult for us to even get onto the foothills of this. We don't know where his mortar is, although we think it's the unit at the back.
Yes.
And I think we correctly worked that out.
Yeah, exactly. And you can see now Toby's, shows what a good player he is. I mean, look at this defense of this hill.
Yeah.
With everything concealed up there, every hex is covered.
Yeah.
It's feeling like a bit of a miserable job now to have to get up that hill, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Doing things the Canadians have never done before in this scenario, which is just trouncing the Germans at this point. So we start to charge our half squad up so it's now our turn. So it's our turn 4. So what do? We mark these guys opportunity fire, don't we? Down in I3.
Yeah.
So the idea being that these guys will probably get revealed in K4, and then we'll be able to hit them back. And so it's just a half squad.
Yeah.
And we shrug that off, and we start to move a few bits and pieces around.
We're able to keep concealment there in
Yes.
L1, sorry.
That's right. Thanks to the double crest here, it gives us the blind hex. The problem with this, as we were discovering, is that we kind of thought we would perhaps split into the K, the L, and the M areas, didn't we? Because it kind of felt like a bit safer, especially if the mortar starts hitting us in the woods.
Yes.
But obviously we can't go back up to K2 again. No. Toby kindly said that if we wanted to, we could jump back a hex, and as if we were, but we're too noble a players to be doing that kind of malarkey
shenanigans.
Yeah, exactly. And we wouldn't have been able to claim a win if we'd have cheated him like that. So
no.
I felt like that was that. So our opportunity firing guy is again sitting back and waiting to see what happens.
Yeah.
The mortar starts to ping them, which is always the risk, isn't it? That we potentially lose that shot if the mortar breaks or pins, potentially pins those guys. We might not get as good a shot as we would have done. That mortar seemed to go on forever, but we managed to break these guys with our firing back again.
Yes.
We do a little bit of routing, and then we advance up the hill. So now we've got a foothold, haven't we? Really?
Yeah. It's starting to look a little bit better. Yeah. And some firepower behind, albeit that of course that 9-1 can't yet fire onto the hilltop, unfortunately. Well, apart from the first hex, which we already control.
Yeah, exactly.
This was a good start.
Yeah, exactly. So we even get some concealment back here as well. So we're feeling like we're actually being able to push. Now, again, if we were better players and we had just one decent unit here that can sort of sit up here and provide some fire maybe against these guys, or anything that we can kind of do, that would have felt quite good. Having said that,
wasn't to be because of this pretty poor showing. We've got one squad left that is just going to hide out here now, and the pinned guys in Z3 who are under a bit of pressure from quite a lot of British or Canadian
Canadians. Yeah.
So we move on to British turn or Canadian turn 5.
Yeah.
Toby does something quite good here, I think. Something that again we wouldn't have thought about with these prisoners. So he's got a half squad with three squads and 2 leaders. Which is just a risk for him. I mean, it absolutely is a risk.
Yeah.
So you know his preference is just going to be to run those guys off. He finally bogs one of his kangaroos.
Finally, yeah.
We get lucky with a kangaroo bogging, which slows him down a little bit. He runs the half squad off the board.
Now, what's the rules about that? So I've not come across that before.
Well, I assume I'm assuming he's able to do it, and it's just a case of they're
eliminated essentially.
Yeah.
But it's
no CVP cap for him. There's no problems.
It doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
And a half squad with that many prisoners is not really of any use to anybody.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
But if the sniper hits him, then he will lose this game because suddenly we're back here. Now a question would be that if they were escaped prisoners, and the victory condition talks about us having it's probably good order MMC, isn't it? I guess prisoners are.
I think escaped prisoners are good order. I think they might not be armed. That might be
right.
But of course they can rearm in certain situations.
Yeah.
But I think that might be the if it's good order. I think escaped prisoners are good order. I might be wrong. I might be wrong with that. But that's my belief. Yeah.
Either way, one lucky sniper for us, and if it breaks, for example, his half squad, we're looking like potentially we might snatch victory there from the jaws of defeat on this side. So good play from Toby.
Yeah, good play, definitely.
So we talk about having this shot here from the guys above the foxhole. Now they're not in the foxhole, and we have this kind of debate about whether we're going to take a shot here or hold fire and try to protect this area. So we decide to hold off a little bit and wait and see, just make sure nothing big comes down the Y5 area that we want to. We don't want to cower necessarily here and lose that opportunity of the shot. Meanwhile, exactly. We mess up back here. That was double 6 for the. Was it maybe just for the? I don't know if we double 6 that.
It looks like it.
Yeah, I don't think we broke it. So
no.
I don't quite know what happened there. But anyway, either way, we're looking like we're in a bit of trouble again now. So we've got, this leader's just going to get mopped up at some point or run away to somewhere no good. So we really are now relying on our left hand side and the one remaining guys. These guys in Z3 looking a little bit vulnerable. A little bit of reposition.
Concealed back on top of the hilltop everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. And again, so he's only got to get four hexes. So he's holding on to
5, I think, at this point.
That's right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So we have.
And defeat starts to feel inevitable now.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? So suddenly now we are absolutely up against it, and we need some good rolls. We start to pull back, and again, this hex here doesn't feel like it might be fairly safe if we can keep the threat of this little half squad and an 8-1 leader off.
Yeah.
We get very unlucky here, don't we? We jump up the hill, we get a KIA against.
That's right.
From one of the squads.
And the Shrek squad, yeah.
Yeah, get KIA'd, and that felt a bit brutal because if we had even just kind of pinned there, we would have felt.
Been fine.
But it's one of those things where we've just got to start moving up.
Even broken, he would have prevented the.
Yep.
He used up his best shot.
Yeah, exactly. And now suddenly with the broken half squad on the other side as well,
it's really rough, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So we have a bit of a debate about what we're doing. The mortar starts opening up into this hex here as well. He goes on a bit of a rate of fire tear, and we kind of take a little bit of the ground. We try the same trick again with the opportunity firing squad on the kind of the edge. So at this point, we kind of realise he is actually quite weak on this hill. He struggled a little bit with some failing to rally these guys back here, and it does feel like it's a little bit brittle. So we managed to break. We break this squad up here, and we route back.
This is actually where he seems to collapse a little bit.
That's right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So now looking at it, we've suddenly got great pressure on this hill. We've advanced up on the hill. He obviously is going to have some reasonably good shots back, but he's now he's lost the medium machine gun. Everything feels now like it's actually going okay for us on this hill, which was interesting. So Canadian turn 6.
Yeah.
So see what happens. We get we survive a little bit of prep fire.
Yeah.
On the left hand side, we're a little bit unlucky. I think we break. I think he DMs the guys back down here.
That's right.
We don't manage to break these guys, this half squad here, and this really spells a lot of trouble for the squad in Z1.
Yeah.
They're looking a little bit. Oh, actually, sorry, we do break them, but we've got the problem of the 9-2 coming along.
Still to come along.
With the concealed half squad.
Limits have fire, doesn't it? And he's going to break us in the final advancing fire phase.
The kangaroo unbogs.
And
he's now going to kind of put some pressure again. This is what Toby does really well. Just manages to. I think it talked about this time. This idea about using every part of the buffalo. Toby extracts all the value from every unit. All the times.
Bow machine gun on that DM'd the broken guys in the hill. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And using that all the time. And I think we talked about when you played this, you would just your idea was use these kangaroos, get them in a position, just get them off the ball to simplify the scenario.
Exactly what I did. Yeah.
And that's not unreasonable. I think a lot of us do that, with trucks and things. But Toby is having this kind of like mobile area, and we saw how much we struggled with the rain.
Mobile houses.
Yeah.
Really. Yeah. I mean, it's hard. It does halve the firepower of the infantry, but that's still can be quite significant, can't it?
Exactly. Yeah. So we have a bit of fire, and we managed to break some more guys. So again, there's some rerouting here. Toby repositions. He's got his 9-2. Now this 9-2 is really kind of going to boss these guys around. He's just got one good order squad up against him over here, and obviously he's got some a half squad with the light machine gun in W5 that he can bring to bear as well. Meanwhile, the mortar breaks, doesn't it? So his mortar's out of action. We've got this huge rallying party in P5, and all he's left with is a half squad on the hill. And so, we've just got to take a little bit of the hill, and we should be good for this one. So Toby starts to reposition. Now, I was a bit surprised about this. Pulled the 9-2 leader away from our 447 in Z1.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, okay, well, we were talking about getting back into the AA2 hex and then AA3 and maybe trying to be a bit sneaky and run back this way. And that was, I thought, our little route to victory. So we'll see how that pans out.
He managed to rally at least one squad, I think, in P5.
That's right, yeah.
Which is important.
Yeah, so this is our turn. I think this is our turn 6, isn't it?
6, yeah.
Too many turns there. So let's have a look, see what happens here. We've got a little bit of see now here's where I think we might have messed up a little bit. I think we took the prep fire shot against the half squad with the medium machine gun.
Yeah.
And just try to break that. If we can break that guy, we have probably won this
Run
scenario.
all over the hill, yeah.
Yeah. And as so often happens, prep fire not as effective as we think it's going to be.
Yeah. And of course, he has got the medium machine gun, doesn't he? So he is a
That's right.
he is a force to be reckoned with.
Right. We make a run down the hill, and Toby, being the Toby player he is, spots he's got a snapshot. So he doesn't necessarily have the line of sight to the center hex here, but he does have the snapshot. So he can do the snapshot. It's a pretty brutal 6 down 2, I think, because of the leader.
Because of the leader, not because of the way we move.
Or maybe 6 down 1, I think, because of the CX. But of course, we're not going to survive that. And then suddenly now this area here on the right hand side is completely lost. So we've really got to take the hill. We've got to take these 4 hexes. So the idea is that we're going to push this half squad, and we're going to push him around the bottom.
And we made a mistake there. It was me leading.
I think it was both of us. So this half squad, what the idea here is that we can potentially assault move or advance these guys up and get the half squad into N5, and pretty much to win the game, isn't it?
Absolutely. He's rallied a squad in P5.
Yep,
the line site there, which I hadn't spotted at all.
No, nor did I, to be fair. For some reason, I keep thinking this was down another hill level. It wasn't. It kind of has that feeling where it's down another level, but obviously it isn't. And we catch the shot and we fail the morale check. It was a 1 check that we fail. And suddenly now we are capturing hills, but we are at the kind of the limit of what we can do. The medium machine gun manages to pin our guys here. We have a little bit of routing to do, which we're not sure we can even route at that point. And if we look at where we're left with our advances, we've now captured
enough of the hills to win.
Exactly. So
you've got another turn.
So this is the British last turn. So at this point, Toby needs to capture this M5 hex. If he doesn't capture this M5 hex, we have won the scenario.
And if he does, he's won it.
That's right. Exactly. Well, we've got another turn to catch it.
So, I suppose so. Yes, that's true. Yeah.
That's the key thing here. So last turn for the Canadians. Toby starts to roll what is effectively the rate of fire from hell, doesn't he? He gets a double 2 and a double 1 from the medium machine gun after rallying most of the guys in this P5 hex.
We basically use both hexes.
So we get a KIA in N5, and we get
break.
A break. And now we get a little bit lucky in that he bogs his kangaroo again here. We can't stop the guys coming around. This is the shot that he wanted us to take in N4 from L4 to prevent. The idea was these guys in 06 were going to come running round and try and recapture this back hex here potentially. But we take the shot here.
And we pin him.
We pin him there, which is perfect, exactly what we need. And then his leaders off to just be a pest, really, from routing point of view here. So now he brings across the guys in V3. And again, I wasn't really sure what this is all about. That will become a little bit clearer. But suddenly we have basically the British now at the end of their, or the Canadians, sorry, at the end of their turn, have their 4 hill hexes back, and it's looking quite strong for them. So let's have a look at the last turn. So what have we got left? We've got a 9-1 and a 5-4-8 in L4. He has a 4-4-7, a 2-4-7, and this 4-5-7 here with an N4. So obviously we only have to take one of these hexes. So the key hex here really is the M5 hex. If we can break this guy somehow and stay unbroken ourselves and advancing, we will win the game. So we managed to rally. I think we managed to rally one of the guys back here.
In M3.
So we prep fire because we don't need to worry about doing anything else, and we spray fire, don't we? It's our one little good move.
Yeah, that was a good move.
And we get a nice morale check. I think 1 check perhaps on both these units.
Yeah,
and we managed to break this one and break this one.
that's right.
So at this point,
we could win again.
yeah, absolutely. So all we need to do now. So what we've got left is we've got our half squad either N3. These guys, Danny's going to potentially try to jump into close combat if it can survive into N4.
Yeah.
And we might get lucky there with the close combat to win with that hex.
Yes.
And obviously we've just got to keep our L4 guys safe.
Yeah.
So we pin, I think we pin our half squad in N3.
Yeah.
And we break our leader. So that's
over.
good. Yeah, obviously we've got a potential advance in fire shot, but we obviously need to. We can't.
Even a KIA won't.
Exactly.
Yeah. But we got our last advance into M5.
That's right. So at this point, all the fire comes in from Toby's hexes. So he misses with his M6 shot. He doesn't get to take a shot, I don't think, with the medium machine gun, but he does get a shot from his kangaroo.
Yeah.
And we pass a couple of those morale checks.
That is, yeah.
And he's got his last shot, which is this 9-2, which he's coming across here and up to the top of this hill. And it's a tight line of sight, but it's pretty good.
That's it, clear, yeah.
It's going to go through the crags, but nothing else that's going to prevent it. We get a morale check to pass, and all we have to do is survive with our 548 guys, and we break, and we lose the game on the last dice roll. Yeah. So it was close, Martin.
It certainly was.
We nearly had him. We had him sweating. But it was a great scenario, wasn't it?
It was a good scenario, and actually there's a lot going on. It was quite interesting. It made me wonder, and I said this to Toby. And obviously, Toby's a very good player. Whether this is very unbalanced if you are not very skilled at using those, those vehicles.
Yep.
The kangaroos to try. I mean, he used them with incredible skill, I thought. And now I'm sort of wondering what we could have done. To stop him. Do you know? That's the thing. Obviously, there was an element of luck towards the end. It could have gone either way. But
we should mention that the rain stopped just as we got to the top of the hill, which actually helped his last shot as well because it didn't interfere with the.
That's right. He wasn't hindered by it. Otherwise, it would have been. That's right.
But I think for me, and the big takeaway for this scenario is that sometimes scenarios can look completely unbalanced, and sometimes they can play out completely unbalanced.
Yeah.
And yet, with a skill disparity that clearly is present with Toby against us, it can become a great game. I mean, this was, Toby had to play. He had to play well, didn't he? Throughout his whole, he had to be precise. He didn't make mistakes. He doesn't run units like we do into open ground and things like that we get caught with every now and again. But if you can use every part of your OOB and you can focus on the objectives and you know what you're doing with things like encircling and running your prisoners off, and just getting as many of those shots off as you can, the scenario is winnable, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Not to say that there are scenarios out there that aren't winnable, but we've got to look for those now. So if you've got suggestions about what we should play Toby next, then please do let us know.
Totally unwinnable for Toby's side is what we're looking for.
Exactly is what we're looking for. So Martin, I guess that's pretty much it for us.
Yes.
We've all got other bits and pieces we're going to have to shoot off to do. Next game, obviously for us, is going to be Tuesday. It's going to be the live game, so it'll be 3:00 UK time.
Going to be doing a lot of reading up before then.
We are going to be reading up on our seaborne assaults. So please join us if you can. We will post on the Game Squad forums. We'll post on Facebook. If you can't find us, look on our YouTube channel for live uploads or something. We might be live on there about 3:00 on Tuesday. And until then, Martin, I'll say well played because your play was flawless.
I rolled some good dice occasionally.
You did roll good dice. And poor old Toby, to be fair, will tell us that he didn't pass a morale check. So
say that, yeah.
yeah. So I'm going to leave you with Toby's thoughts, and we're going to say goodbye from everybody.
Goodbye.
See you next time.
See you soon.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
Well, what a great game that was. I pulled it out of the hat in the end. Wasn't easy, but very thrilling. You know, I was reasonably pleased with my attack. The only mistake I made, a definite mistake on turn one, was the kangaroo that stopped in W9 should have gone on to V8, because there's much better opportunities there to encircle the X7 hex. I meant to do that, but forgot. So, but everything else went reasonably well. I mean, the heat of battle that Martin rolled and the hero that came out of it were a real spanner in the works, and I did think for a while that had basically put the kibosh on my chance of winning. But I managed to get rid of them and then just sort of drive up that hill and through with my 9-2 leading, taking out squads hither and yon. You know, encirclement worked well. I won the race for the hill, but my morale checks were appalling. But basically the medium machine gun kept me in it. Whoever was manning it rolled low enough, and I got a couple of really important low rolls with that. But it went down to the wire, and it was a great game. I enjoyed the scenario. I think it is, you know, difficult to win with the British, but it's not impossible. You just have to make your decision right at the start and go with it. But a great game, and hopefully we can get another one in again soon. Bye bye.